Welcome back, everybody, to the NCAA Next Up Dynasty here on NCAA Football 14. We have made it to Conference Championship Day here in season number 4. These are the final 8 games before you guys will decide which 12 teams will be going to the college football playoff. The first 6 tickets to be punched into the playoff will happen tonight, based on the winners of these games. In the last episode, we covered the final 3 weeks of the regular season. We had a lot of very exciting matchups, a majority of teams finishing out their seasons, having their final opportunities to prove to the College Football Playoff Committee why they deserve to make it. As for others, they will get one more opportunity to prove themselves in their respective conference championship games today. This is what the rankings all look like going into Conference Championship Week. I'm certainly expecting a lot of movement at the top, with some big-time teams playing against each other. Of the 6 teams who will automatically qualify for a playoff spot tonight, 5 of them will be the Power 5 champions. In the SEC, you've got Auburn and Florida. In the ACC, it'll be Navy and Middle Tennessee State. In the Big Ten, we've got 2 of the top 3 teams in the country. Notre Dame faces off against the Ohio State. In the Pac-12, Washington will face off against Cinderella. Arizona State. Can the 6-6 Sun Devils make history? And then in the Big 12, West Virginia will face off against the Horned Frogs of TCU. The highest ranked Group 5 conference champion will also be automatically qualified into the playoff. Could that be Texas Tech? Could that be Boston College? And then the other conference championships, we have Louisville going up against South Alabama for the new look Fun Belt. And then in the MAC, we've got Ohio against Western Michigan, while FIU and UNLV have already won their conferences, so they automatically qualify to beat the Group 5 representative in the playoff, and that's important specifically for FIU. Many of the Heisman finalists will also have one more opportunity to prove themselves as to show why they deserve to win the award. I think we've got 8 really fun games today. It should be a pretty exciting episode. So we're going to get things started right away with the Sun Belt game. We're going to go in order as shown here, and we will open things up with South Alabama and Louisville. The new look Sun Belt, or as I've been calling it, the Fun Belt, has been a pretty exciting conference. And while I don't think any of these teams are going to be good enough to qualify for the playoff, I did want to show this conference their love and cover their game. The South Alabama Jaguars went 7-5, winning the Eastern Division with a head-to-head tiebreaker over South Carolina. They'll face off against Louisville, who's the favorite going into this game. They won their division by 3 games, which is more so because their division wasn't all that good. As we look at South Alabama, they're led by quarterback Chris Gruber. They're hoping to have their star running back, Amari Loveland-Frost, back healthy. He has not played since the second game of the season. Obviously, Sammy Wusus at receiver is one of the top receivers in the country over the last few years, and they've got some talent on defense as well. As for Louisville, they're led by senior quarterback Prince Parks, who has been a 4-year starter with the Cardinals. Steve Redfield-Kent is one of the most dynamic playmakers in the country as well. And while Louisville had the easier division, I do think they are the favorite going into this game with how balanced their roster is. They've got a strong defense, they've got a good, experienced quarterback, and they've got a dynamic running back. Welcome to Papa John's Cardinal Stadium, South Alabama and Louisville facing off for the Fun Belt Championship. We're going to try to go through these games pretty quickly. South Alabama leads 3-0 here late in the first quarter. Is on 3rd and 18. Chris Gruber looks to go downfield, and he ends up getting intercepted. A big turnover for the Louisville defense, who's going to look to capitalize. Prince Parks will go short. His pass is caught. Nice stiff arm after the catch by Sammy Brown for the first touchdown of the game, and Louisville will take the lead 7-3. Prince Parks, 95 career passing touchdowns. That is the most in Louisville history, for what it's worth. I guess that'll happen when you're a 4-year starter playing like 50 career games, but that's besides the point. So the Jags get it back. Gruber looks to go downfield to Sammy Wusus, the top projected receiver in this year's draft class, who gets 38 yards. But the Jaguars will be unable to find the end zone, so they'll have to kick another field goal, making it 7-6. We'll see if Louisville can look to extend their lead. Their last drive, they were able to score off the turnover, as on 3rd and 6. Parks looks to go downfield, and the pass is caught by Ryland Burns. He will take it all the way for a 69-yard touchdown run, and Louisville, the Cardinals, extend their lead. It's now 14-6. Great throw by Prince Parks as he looks to improve his draft stock. currently being looked at as a day 3 quarterback prospect. And that'll wrap up the first half, 14-6. Louisville with the lead here at home. We'll see if South Alabama can come back here in the second half or if Louisville can win the inaugural Fun Belt Championship. South Alabama has it in the red zone here on a 3rd and 3 as Bashad Brooks does not get the first down. They would kick a field goal, making it 14-9. On the ensuing kickoff, it's Steve Redfield Kent, the star running back, who will take it 103 yards to the house for a Louisville touchdown. The Cardinals lead by 2 scores with an incredible special teams play by Steve Redfield Kent, a projected top 100 pick in this year's draft. So Louisville now leads 21-9. They've scored 3 touchdowns today, whereas South Alabama has only scored 3 field goals today, and that's ultimately been the difference of this game. Louisville would add some more field goals here late in the 4th quarter. It's 24-7, and then this kick would make it all the way the distance, and it's now 27-9. Prince Parks would look to add some salt on the wound as he'll take this read option the entire way for a Louisville touchdown with under a minute to go. And the Cardinals will end up winning this game 34-9. A blowout win for the Cardinals to kick off Conference Championship week as they really take care of business against South Alabama. So congratulations to Louisville. They have won the Sun Belt, or the Fun Belt, whatever you want to call it. And they win it convincingly as well. This game started off pretty competitive in the first half, but really the kick return touchdown took away any hope of momentum for South Alabama. Prince Parks was very efficient as a thrower and on the ground. And then Louisville's defense was phenomenal, not allowing a single touchdown. They had 5 sacks and 2 interceptions. Great work. Obviously, the touchdown by Steve Redfield Kent was the biggest play of the game. Chris Gruber for South Alabama was uninspiring, not his best day. Got to give credit, though, to Amari Loveland Frost, the running back, for coming back from injury, giving it all he got, but it's not going to be enough. I think this game could have a lot more playoff implications now. It's the American Championship between Boston College and Texas Tech. As we know, the highest-ranked Group 5 team who wins their conference will go to the playoff. If Texas Tech wins this game, it'll certainly be them. If Boston College wins this game, it could be them if they passed FIU. So Boston College is without their starting quarterback, Ryan McTavish. Isaac Warkener will be under center today. He's got a good group of skill position players, a talented running back duo, and plenty of good receivers. Defensively, these guys are pretty solid as well, but they are the heavy underdog here because Texas Tech has been the best Group 5 team in the country this year. Yahya Marshall has looked like a legitimate first-rounder at quarterback this year, a potential Heisman Trophy candidate. Omari Green has been a legitimate number 1 receiver, and they've got plenty of talent on the defensive side of the ball. I think this Texas Tech team has what it takes to not only make the college football playoff, but make a big run, and we'll see if they can punch their spot today at home against Boston College. Yahya Marshall's going to look to go downfield early, and it's caught by Maurice Smith. He'll take it all the way for a touchdown, and the Red Raiders get things rolling early. Texas Tech has not played their best football over the last few weeks, so we've got to see what they're made of today, and so far they look pretty good. Yahya Marshall on second down loses the ball, and it's picked up by Boston College. A huge turnover for the Eagles, which would lead to a field goal, making it 7-3. So Boston College is on the board off of a turnover. Would have been nice to see them get 6 there, but they'll take what they can get. Texas Tech would answer back with a field goal of their own, making it 10-3. The Red Raiders now have it in the red zone here in the second quarter as it is a 3rd and 9. Can Texas Tech extend their lead? Yahya Marshall will look short. It is caught by the backup running back, Boston James. And he is in for a 14-yard score. Texas Tech rolling early. They lead 17-3. They're looking to get more here as Marshall is under pressure and he fumbles it again. Boston College with their second fumble off of Marshall in the first half. The Eagles would march all the way down the field into the red zone as they've got a huge 3rd and goal. And Isaac Warkener would connect in the back of the end zone with Herman Foster, the tight end, with the touchdown. So it's only a 1-score game. Boston College will get it back late in the first half, looking to make it a 4-point game here with a field goal try. This is a long kick, but it is good. 17-13 your score at half. Texas Tech was the better team in the first half, but Boston College has the momentum right now. They've scored 10 unanswered points, and we'll see if they can carry that over into the second half. As they're driving down the field, they have it in the red zone. Warkener breaks the sack under pressure, connects with Herman Foster for a second time today, and now we've really got ourselves a game. Boston College leads it 20-17. Their lead won't last long, though. Boston James responds with a touchdown of his own, his second of the ball game. Let's go to the fourth quarter now. 23-27. It remains a 4-point lead. What a throw by Yaya Marshall, threading the needle for Debo Campbell, who gets 33 yards. If the Red Raiders can score a touchdown here, they'll be in a good spot, up by 2 possessions, and that's exactly what happens. Dennis Look Around is in for the touchdown, and Texas Tech is up by 11. Boston College is going to need some big plays down the stretch. It's a 4th and 5, not a lot of time left. Isaac Warkener looks for the end zone, and it is broken up by Blaine Harris, and that should do it. A really nice fight from Boston College, but it won't be enough. Texas Tech has not only won the American Athletic Conference, but they will be the highest-ranked Group 5 conference champion, which means Texas Tech is the first team to officially punch their ticket into the college football playoff, and they make a real case to get a first-round bye, finishing the season 12-1 with a conference championship. Got to give Isaac Warkener credit as a backup quarterback. He was solid throughout the game for Boston College, but ultimately, the Eagles just are not quite on Texas Tech's level. Both of these programs have drastically turned around after moving to the American Athletic Program, but only one of them will go to the playoff, and that's Texas Tech. I think this team has what it takes to really make a run in the playoff, especially with a quarterback like Yaya Marshall, who might be the best quarterback in the entire country. He's got plenty of good weapons on offense, and even though he got sacked 7 times, he was still highly productive. The offensive line allowing 7 sacks does have me a little bit concerned when Texas Tech is going to face off against really good front sevens that are going to be better than Boston College's. But overall, very good win for the Red Raiders. So that'll bring us to the SEC Championship between Auburn and Florida. The 2 best teams in the conference throughout the season. There's a good shot both of these teams will end up making the playoff when it's all said and done, but only one of them can guarantee their spot today, and the winner of this game most likely will end up getting a first-round bye. So there is a lot at stake here in this matchup. Florida won the SEC last year, and I think they are the favorites going into this game, despite the fact that they have a worse record than Auburn. The Tigers, I feel like, have something to prove. Unlike Florida, they have not been a mainstay at the top of the conference over the last few years. They did go 11-1. They were the best team in the regular season within this conference, but it still feels like they've got that chip on their shoulder, and they've really got to prove it here. These 2 teams did not play against each other during the season, so I'm curious to see how this matchup will end up going. It feels like Florida's got some unfinished business. Not only have they made the playoffs 2 years in a row, but they've made the Final Four both times and have not been able to get the job done. Can they clinch themselves back into the playoff for a 3rd straight season, or will Auburn get the win? This game did not have a lot of offense early. The only entertainment we got was missed field goals. Both teams missed quite long of kicks early in this game, leading to a very low-scoring start, posing the question of which team is finally going to get the points going in this first half. It wouldn't be until pretty early in the second quarter when Rudy Burns, the backup running back for Florida, would punch it in, putting them ahead 7-0. Burns is sort of their power back, a guy who can really fight for tough yardage. Florida would get it back soon then after, with Auburn's offense still doing nothing, as Deontay Harris connects with tight end Pato Louise for a big gain of 38 yards. The problem with Florida over the last couple of years has been the inconsistent quarterback play with Ernie Capellar. They're hoping Deontay Harris will really be able to stabilize that, as Rudy Burns will score his 2nd touchdown of the game. It burns right now, and Auburn trails 14-0. The Tigers got to get some scoring sooner, or else this game could get ugly. Auburn has done virtually nothing so far on offense. They're looking to change that here, as Jet Jackson connects with Trayon Scott, who will take that one a long 61 yards for a touchdown. Auburn needed that play. They needed to get something going on offense. It's been very stagnant on this side of the field so far for the Tigers. They do trail 14-7. Florida has the lead, but neither offense has looked particularly impressive. Very similar to last year's SEC Championship between Florida and Alabama, where neither offense really could get anything going. The Tigers would kick a field goal here in the second half, as would Florida a little bit earlier, so it's 17-10. The Gators have a 4th and inches from the 40. Instead of going for it, they're going to kick a 57-yarder, which seems kind of stupid, and the kick is no good. Florida's dumb play calling throughout the game has honestly kept Auburn in it. They've got a 4th and 3 now here in the fourth quarter inside the 10, and they're going to go for it. Short pass is caught, and it somehow will go for a first down. Nice play by Marshall. That was a really bad read by Auburn. I don't know what they were thinking there by throwing 3 yards shy of the line of scrimmage. They've now got a real chance to tie it, and they're not going to. Jackson is intercepted in the end zone. A huge turnover for the Florida defense, and Auburn, after a 4th down conversion, will get nothing. All the Gators really need is more points to try to pad this lead. They've got a 4th and 3 going for a short kick, and it is good. So the Gators are up 20-10 with not a whole lot of time left in the game. Florida would later get it back, looking to extend the lead even more with another field goal try. This kicker has been awfully busy today, as it is 23-10, and that'd be all she wrote. The Florida Gators are back in the college football playoff for a 3rd straight season as they beat Auburn in an ugly SEC Championship game, 23-10. This one was not pretty. Let me tell you, most of the games we have after this one ended up being a lot better. Jet Jackson was pretty unimpressive, and I get that Auburn has 11 wins. They're probably going to end up in the playoff, and deservedly so, but this game is certainly not a ringing endorsement of their chances once they get into the playoff. Their defense was fine, but offensively it was just very stagnant. Florida did not even move the ball all that well either. I'm a little bit concerned about their offense as well. The offense has been the reason why they've lost in the playoffs over the last couple of years, not the defense, who was really good again today. They sent pressure, they got turnovers. The defense is what's going to win Florida a championship if this is the year they get over the hump. Let's move on to the Pac-12 championship now in the snow. Undefeated, 12-0, number 2 Washington faces off against 6-6 Arizona State in a battle of David and Goliath. To make matters even worse for Arizona, their starting quarterback, Daniel McCormick, is not healthy. Joe Gray will be under center. They've got a good group of skill position players with Jelly McCluntz and Bavis Simmons, who are both going to be high draft picks this year. But the fact of the matter is this team is going to be a massive underdog. This Washington team is so good. They are second in all of college football in point differential, only trailing Ohio State, and they have the chance to finish the regular season undefeated as one of potentially 2 teams, depending on how Notre Dame performs today as well. Their offense is great. Their defense is great. They will be without top pass rusher Tony Adichie, which is a pretty big loss, but they've got plenty of depth on this side of the ball to where I think they'll be fine. Washington is heavy favorites here at home at Husky Stadium. Washington has lost the Pac-12 championship 2 years in a row against Cal. Now that both teams are in the same division, and thanks to Washington beating Cal, the Huskies don't need to have a rematch. Instead, they play against a not-so-good Arizona State team. On literally the first play from scrimmage, Washington fumbles the ball, and it's picked up by the Sun Devils. So a quick turnover just seconds into the ball game, and Arizona State will look to respond. 3rd and 6, Joe Gray's pass is incomplete. So Washington will get the stop, and they'll get the ball right back. First play at the new drive, it's a play-action fake. Here is Kai Suggs Gardner going downfield, and it's intercepted by Rob Banks. Yes, that is his name. The jokes write themselves. Washington has turned the ball over twice, and we are not even a minute into the game. A not-so-great start here in the snow for the Huskies, and Arizona State's got another opportunity to set the tone off of these turnovers. They've got a 3rd and 5, though. We'll see if they can do anything. Joe Gray looks to throw it, and his pass is caught, but it's going to be a loss of a yard. McCluntz tackled behind the line of scrimmage by corner Davis Slater. So Washington gets it back. They're actually not turning the ball over. Instead, they're moving it down the field, looking to score first, and they will. It's Racer Fox, one of the top receivers in the country, with the touchdown, and it's 7-0. On Washington's following possession, they'd add some more points here of a field goal, making it 10-0. Arizona State was given an opportunity to really set the tone with those 2 early turnovers, and they completely failed to do so. They have the 3rd and 2. Here's Jelly McCluntz with a big run to the outside, trying to get something going here for Arizona State as he gains nearly 30. Could this be the drive that the Sun Devils put themselves on the board? Now in the second quarter, it is intercepted. It's Joe King who picks it off, and he will take it all the way. A pick six for the Washington Huskies, and they now lead it 17-0. I think a lot of people were expecting a blowout, and right now you are getting a blowout. Things would not get any better for Arizona State as Suggs Gardner connects with Ryan Alston for the touchdown, making it 24-0. So Arizona State now has it with really bad field position. Joe Gray took a pair of sacks on first and second down. Now it's third and long, and he will be intercepted again. This game will go from bad to worse to a total disaster for Arizona State as they are getting completely outmatched. The records really suggested here, and Washington can extend their lead even farther off of the turnover late here in the first half. We'll see if they can do it. 2nd and 2, not a whole lot of time left in the first half. This is a handoff to the outside for Ben Bones, and he is in for the score. It is now 31-0. Washington did choke the big lead in the conference championship 2 years ago against Cal, but I don't think even they could choke this away. Arizona State would score their first touchdown of the game on the following possession. It's Jelly McCluntz, making it 31-7. Can the Sun Devils put themselves back in the game? Probably not. Washington brings it to around the 1. It's Ryan Alston once again making the play. We'll see if they can punch it in here on 1st and goal. Suggs Gardner has time, now under pressure. He will go short, and it's caught by Racer Fox for his second touchdown of the game, making it 38-7. Arizona State's going to go for a Hail Mary here to end the first half, and it is caught, and Jimmy Jackson gets it all the way to the 1, and he's not in. That play is exactly how this first half has gone for Arizona State. Washington leads it 38-7. We're going to try to go through the second half pretty quickly because this game looks like it is about over. Jimmy Jackson will get his long touchdown right here after all, making it 14-38. Washington would kick a pair of field goals. They are now up by 30 on 2nd down and 9. Nice play here by Babis Simmons for the score. It's 44-21. Washington's trying to get one more score here before the end of the game, and it's Jason Thornburg, the backup running back, who is in. And with that, Washington wins this one 51-21. The Huskies have been close to the playoff over the last 2 years, but they now clinch it here. Even if they lost this game, they probably still would get in, but it feels nice to guarantee yourself that spot. And now finishing the season undefeated, Washington has a real case to be the number 1 overall seed in the entire tournament. Arizona State played a little bit better in garbage time, but it really didn't matter. This game was very similar to last year's conference championship when Cal utterly dominated Washington. So the Huskies do have to feel a nice sense of satisfaction that they were able to do the same here in the conference championship game. The Huskies' offense did kind of struggle in the second half, but it really did not matter. They were by far the better team. That's what everybody expected going into this game, and Washington absolutely deserves to make the playoffs. They're one of the best teams in the country, and they look like they can make a championship run. Next up, we've got the ACC Championship between Navy and Middle Tennessee State. I have described the ACC this year as a beautiful mess because it's been a very competitive conference that nobody really has deserved to win because none of these teams are really all that good. We will start with Navy, who made the conference championship last year, winning 11 games, and they got embarrassed so badly that they did not even get voted into the college football playoff, despite being 11-2. While their record is worse this year, I think they're a little bit more prepared. They've balanced out their offense to where it's not just gimmicky option plays, and I think they're going to keep the defense on their toes a little bit more. As for Middle Tennessee State, they are the only team who's made the playoff in every single season of this series. Juan Escala-Salazar at quarterback has had an up-and-down season, but he has really improved over the course of the year, and I think he has prepared himself well for this game. They've got a really good group of skill position players. Defensively, you know the Blue Raiders are always going to be stout, as Middle Tennessee State looks to make history by clinching their 4th consecutive playoff spot. So everybody in the pick'em ended up voting for Middle Tennessee State to win this game. I think that's the first time it's been ever unanimous, which is odd because it's not even like Middle Tennessee State is drastically better. I mean, they're favored, but it wouldn't be that surprising if Navy ended up winning this game. So we'll see if Middle Tennessee State proves everybody right, as they would start this game off with a quick field goal, and then Navy would look to one-up them here with a 3rd down and 6 Chuck Burton, the quarterback, would go short, pass is caught, and what a play after the catch by Ryan Hunter for the touchdown as it's 7-3. Last year, Navy was all about the option. They still run a lot of those plays, but they've balanced out their offense to feature more solid passes. Juan Escala-Salazar is in off of a QB draw, so Middle Tennessee State responds right back. It looks like we could have ourselves a pretty good game as it's 10-7. The Blue Raiders would get the ball back shortly thereafter. They would march all the way down the field as it's now a 1st and goal, and the backup running back, Jonathan Terry, is in for a score. So the Blue Raiders are looking pretty good early. They lead 17-7. Navy's got to look to respond here or else it could get ugly again just like last year. They would find themselves in field goal range looking to make it a one-score game, and they would, as the kicker would make a long kick. So it's now 17-10. Middle Tennessee State trying to get some more points here before the end of the first half. They're already up by 7. They're in a good spot, but Escala-Salazar is intercepted. It's McCormick who picks it off, and he will take it all the way for a pick 6. And Navy ties it up at 17. Derek McCormick flips the game on its side, and just like that, Navy is right back in it. It appears they're not going to get embarrassed unlike they did last year in this game against Virginia Tech. So Middle Tennessee State has it back. What a play after the catch by Malik Washington. He will bring it to the 35, gaining around 40. Middle Tennessee State would tack on 3 points, and so they lead at 20-17 going into halftime. It's been a pretty competitive game so far, and what's been a really bad conference for the most part this year, it's kind of funny that the conference championship game has been really exciting, and I think these two teams have more to play for because it's unlikely either of them would get at-large bids if they lost this game. Middle Tennessee State extends their lead with a Dion Maynard touchdown early in the third quarter. Navy looking to respond as they bring it into their end zone. 2nd and 10, Burton drops back to throw it, launches a dime, and it's caught by Gavin Johnson. For the score, Navy's continuing to hang tough. I feel like Middle Tennessee State has kind of been in the driver's seat, but this game is far from over as we move into the fourth quarter. Long field goal for the Blue Raiders is no good. This is Navy's opportunity to capitalize. They get some field position here with an opportunity to tie or take the lead. That kick wasn't even that bad. It just barely missed a little bit to the left. So Navy would kind of respond. They will kick a field goal. This game is knotted up at 27. Middle Tennessee State's got it back. Escala-Salazar off balance throw. They're going to call that a fumble. And it's picked up by the defense for a scoop and score. And Navy will take the lead. It's Henry with the touchdown. Since that throw was a backwards throw, it is a fumble. So that's how Navy will take their first lead since the first half. And Navy will force another turnover, a late interception from the defense. The midshipmen all of a sudden are up by 7, and they had the ball with a chance to win the game. Burton sails it deep, and it is overthrown on 3rd and 11. The midshipmen will look to kick a field goal, and they would end up missing. So Middle Tennessee State will get one more drive here to tie the game and keep their season alive, as Chris Curry hauls that one in for a gain of 9 on 4th and 4. Nice catch. 3rd and inches now. Juan Escala-Salazar goes short. He connects with Malik Washington, who brings it to the 5. 3rd and goal. Not a lot of time left. We're looking at around 20 seconds. As Jonathan Terry is not in the end zone. He gets it to the 1. Middle Tennessee State has a timeout, and they're going to decide not to use it. They're going to go no huddle. They're going to rush back to the line of scrimmage with just seconds left. The pass is caught in the end zone for a touchdown by Chris Curry. This game is tied up at the buzzer. We are headed to overtime here in the ACC Championship. We've seen some crazy overtime games in conference championships before. Look no further than the Big 12 Championship last year, which went into quadruple overtime. Remember in the American Championship last year, Middle Tennessee State with that crazy win over UAB? They've been here before. They know how to win in this situation. Well, they'd get the ball first, and they would only be able to kick a field goal, so Navy's got an opportunity to win the game. 3rd and 4, inside the 10-yard line. Touchdown ends it and sends Navy to the playoff. Burton will sail it in the back of the end zone incomplete. So Middle Tennessee State gets the stop. Navy's going to be conservative and kick. Probably the smart call. So we're tied up, headed into a double overtime. Navy again would not be able to do anything, so they'll have to kick a field goal. These teams are unable to find the end zone here in overtime after scoring so much during regulation. So now Middle Tennessee State has an opportunity to win the game. First play of double overtime. Escala Salazar is intercepted! Navy is going to the playoff! A third turnover for Middle Tennessee State, and this is the one that's going to cost them. Reggie Henry, who had the scoop and score in the fourth quarter, picks it off. Navy wins, and they are going to their first ever college football playoff. Many thought last year was their year, and last year's Navy team was probably a little bit better than this year's, but they were not equipped to win in the playoff last year. As we saw in the ACC Championship, they balanced things out on offense, and I think that's ultimately the difference for Navy, as they have won the ACC. More so a reflection of the rest of the conference, but they still won it. Busy day for Juan Escala Salazar. He completed 51 of 66 passes. He threw 3 interceptions. He also fumbled it, so Middle Tennessee State turned the ball over 4 times today, and that's ultimately the reason why they lost. They had no problem moving the ball down the field or scoring. Their offense was really good. They just turned it over too much, and that's ultimately going to be the difference in this game. It's not like Navy's offense necessarily lit the world on fire, but Chuck Burton was really good. He played so much better than he did last year against Virginia Tech, again, because Navy's been balancing things out. They've really improved the pass game over the last 5 or 6 games of the season, and the other key for them was getting 4 turnovers, 2 of which were defensive touchdowns, and the other interception was to end the game in double overtime. So you could argue those interceptions and turnovers are going to lead to flukier game results, which might not help out Navy down the line, but it was able to help them win today. Let's move to the Big Ten Championship now. The Big Ten's been the complete opposite of the ACC because this conference has been not only really competitive, but also really good. You're looking at 4, maybe 5 teams going to the playoff. Most certainly, Notre Dame and Ohio State will be among them. So which team will win the conference championship? Ohio State is just as good, if not better, than they were last year. Ohio State lost their opening game this season to Oklahoma, and I feel like Ohio State kind of went under the radar after that, but they quietly blew out everybody who they played against after week 2. These guys won the national championship last year. They have 90% of their starting lineup back, and they led the entire country in point differential for a second straight season. So even though Notre Dame is the number 1 team in the country, and they're undefeated, and they're really good, I almost view them as an underdog here. I'm coming into this game expecting to see Ohio State win because they've shown me they can do it in the big games. Can Notre Dame shine when the lights are the brightest? That's always been the problem with this program. They're always really good in the regular season, but can they play well when it matters most? The pick'em seems to kind of agree. Ohio State's getting over half of the votes, but this game certainly could be won by Notre Dame. There's a reason why they've been number 1 for the last 6 weeks, which is a longer period of time than anybody has been number 1 throughout the season. So Ohio State has the ball in an early 3rd down and 17 situation. Last year's college football playoff MVP, Puma Whitlock, connects with Kermit Wiltz, who breaks a tackle, and another, and he's brought down at the 5 for a gain of 80. What a play for the Buckeyes. This team does not put up elite passing numbers because they don't have to throw the ball a lot. They're always up by so much. They haven't asked a whole lot of Puma Whitlock throughout the season. They have asked quite a bit out of their run game, specifically Mookie Davis, who scores the first touchdown of the game. Ohio State is again marching it down the field. Puma Whitlock keeps it on the option. Puma breaks a tackle and then gets lit up, but he brings it to the goal line. Can Ohio State possibly blow these guys out? They would add a field goal, making it 10-0. Notre Dame has to respond. They cannot fall behind early because once Ohio State's up, they're not giving away that lead. So it's a 2nd and 5 for the Irish. Baz Boyd breaks a tackle, pitches it late over to his running back. That's Jared Richardson with a nice gain to the 50. Richardson is currently the Heisman favorite. He has been phenomenal this year for Notre Dame. He's trying to make a Heisman statement tonight in the conference championship. Here's Nathan Mason, the fullback, in for a score. So Notre Dame's on the board. It's 10-7. Puma Whitlock is going to look to run it again here on this play. He's got blocks. Puma Whitlock inside the 10. What a run. There's a reason why Puma Whitlock is being regarded as such an elite NFL prospect in a couple of years from now. He can do it all. He cannot put Ohio State in the end zone on this possession, however. They'd only be able to kick a field goal, making it 13-7. Brutus the Buckeye appears to be semi-disappointed by that result. And if I was an Ohio State fan, I kind of would be too. So Notre Dame can take the lead now, and they will. Baz Boyd connects with Liv Rocco. in the back of the end zone for a touchdown, and Notre Dame has the lead. I know the scoreboard isn't showing it, but they're up 14-13, and on the first play of the next drive, Puma Whitlock says, enough of that! He's going to take this one 80 yards to the house. What a play by Puma Whitlock, and within one play, Ohio State has their lead right back. It's 20-14. So Notre Dame gets the ball back. Baz Boyd keeps it on the option. He pitches it late, and it's caught by the defense. It's Trenton Ordonez who picks it up, and Ohio State will get the ball back in the red zone with an opportunity to make it a two-score game once again, and Puma Whitlock is in for his second rushing touchdown of the game. Puma has been a problem on the ground so far here in the first half. Ohio State leads 27-14, proving why they are the favorite to win the entire national championship again, handling Notre Dame basically in what is a home game for the Irish, with this game being at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indiana. Puma Whitlock would fumble it early in the second half, so Notre Dame forces the turnover. This is the Irish's opportunity to put themselves back in the game, and they would score, but only a field goal, so it'll remain a two-score game. First play of the fourth quarter now. Puma Whitlock strikes again, his third rushing touchdown of the game. Ohio State is ahead by 3 possessions. The Buckeyes are cruising as they would ultimately win it 41-17, a blowout for the Buckeyes, proving that they are the team to beat as they handle the number 1 ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So that's going to pose the question to the College Football Playoff Committee. Who gets the number 1 seed? Probably between either Ohio State or Washington. Ohio State did lose a game, whereas Washington did not. They both had the top 2-point differentials in the entire country. They played in strong conferences, but Ohio State's conference was a little bit better. They just beat the number 1 team by 24 in the conference championship game. Notre Dame had not lost all year, and they just got blown out. Being 12-1, I think it's safe to say Notre Dame will still make the playoff. They could have lost this game by 100 and still made it, but I do have some concerns with them. As I kind of talked about Navy, I think they did a good job of balancing out the offense, and that's not something that Notre Dame, another gimmicky option team, did. They did not rely on their best player, Jared Richardson. He only got 10 carries, whereas Baz Boyd got 30. They need to give Jared Richardson the ball more. I assume Notre Dame's going to be one of the highest seeded at-large teams, as they should. I mean, they're 12-1 in the best conference in the country. But Ohio State just looks like a totally different beast. The Buckeyes played their brand of football. They did not need to throw the ball a lot. It was all about the run game. Puma Whitlock, 227 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. Puma and Mookie Davis each averaged double-digit yards per carry. If they're doing that against Notre Dame, look out for what they're going to do against a team probably worse than Notre Dame in the playoff. The defense was great. The offense was great. I think Ohio State is very clearly the team to beat again as they look to win their second consecutive national championship game. So we know 4 Power 5 teams who are automatically going to the playoff, along with Texas Tech. Who will be the final team to punch their ticket to the playoff tonight? The winner of the Big 12 between West Virginia and TCU. The Horned Frogs not only made the playoff 2 years ago, but they won the national championship. This team looks a lot different, though. They have the new quarterback, Tegan Yeager. He's had a hard time staying healthy, but he is healthy and good to go for this game against West Virginia. Running back Harry Stewart was one of the stars of the championship team. He is still here. They've got a great group of receivers, albeit Griffin Weaver III, their number 1 wide receiver, is injured, but they still have a good group beside him, including potential first-round tight end Josh St. George. As for West Virginia, they won the Big 12 back in Season 1. They would have made the playoffs had we had a 12-team playoff system back then. So they're looking to get that opportunity that they were unable to get a few years ago. West Virginia's been the best team in the Big 12. They're hosting this game. They are the favorites, but the Pick'em's rolling with TCU, and I understand why. This team has that championship DNA in them. And yes, the team is a lot different than they were 2 years ago. They're a lot worse than they were 2 years ago. But many of these stars on TCU were big parts of their national title run. West Virginia with the ball. 3rd and 23. Atlanta Walker with a dime for Romero. West Virginia would start off with a field goal, making it 3-0. As you can tell, it is snowing here in Morgantown, West Virginia. I think that will be an advantage for the Mountaineers because they're going to be a little bit more used to the conditions as opposed to TCU, who plays in Texas. The Horned Frogs would get a short 4th and 1 conversion, but that would actually move them back ultimately for a field goal try that they would end up missing. So converting the 4th down might have been the worst thing that could have happened to them. West Virginia will score a touchdown in the following possession. Casey Roberson making it 10-0. Not a very good start for TCU. Again, this does not look like the team who won a championship back in Season 2. Harry Stewart will look to respond. He breaks all the big run. Nothing but white grass ahead. A long touchdown for Harry Stewart, looking like what he was doing back as a sophomore during TCU's title run, making it 10-7. West Virginia has it back. Atlanta Walker looks for the end zone. It is intercepted by Josh Parks, the star corner. TCU really started off the first half pretty rough, but now they're only down by 3. They're starting to make some plays on offense. They were able to force the turnover. Still a very defense-heavy first half, which is kind of ironic for the Big 12. Into the second half now. Tegan Yeager takes his time, launches a missile downfield. It is caught inside the 5 by Mustafa Diabate, who gets lit up, but not before gaining over 50 yards. Harry Stewart pounds it in for a touchdown. TCU takes the lead. Into the fourth quarter, the Horned Frogs are looking for more. Yeager with a dime for Demir Stokes Jr. TCU has now scored 21 unanswered points. They lead at 21-10. Can West Virginia make a play here late? It is a 4th and 7. Atlanta Walker under pressure, and he is sacked. Jojo Adiamoa finishes him off. Adiamoa is the lone defensive starter who was a starter back in Season 2 for the championship team. TCU tacks on a field goal, making it 24-10. Not looking good here for the Mountaineers. They've got another 4th and 4. Walker hit as he throws incomplete, and that will do it. The TCU Horned Frogs are back in the playoff. They beat West Virginia 24-10. Again, TCU is nowhere near as good as they were 2 years ago. Then they were a 3 seed. Now they're probably going to be a very low seed. But they've earned this win over West Virginia. TCU's been playing their best football here down the stretch. I'm not convinced that this team has what it takes to make a championship run, but I could see them turning some heads and winning a couple of games in the playoff and surprising everybody. As we take a look at the numbers, Tegan Yeager was pretty solid. I think he can do more than this, but overall he was pretty good. And the key stat is that he did not get sacked once. Yeager's had a hard time staying healthy, so if he can stay on his feet and not get hit, that'll be a big deal. Harry Stewart was phenomenal. TCU will certainly be leaning on him as we get closer to the playoff. They've got a great group of receivers. They're certainly hoping Griffin Weaver III will be healthy, but even if he's not, Stokes, Diabate, and Josh St. George are all very good players who are all very capable. Defensively, this team looked like the Season 2 TCU defense, the way they made plays in the backfield. They had the turnover. As for West Virginia, their season falls short. They've been the best team in the Big 12 this year. They had the opportunity to host the conference championship game, but they could not get it done, despite a great performance on the ground from Casey Roberson, running for nearly 160 yards. West Virginia's 9-4. I suppose they will be on the ballot to make the playoff as an at-large bid, but I don't think it's all that likely that they end up getting voted in. We still have one more conference championship game to go, however, and that is the MAC championship between Ohio and Western Michigan. Neither of these teams will be automatically put into the playoff because the highest-ranked Group 5 champion will be TCU. But again, I wanted to show this game some love. And this conference championship is interesting because these two teams are not supposed to be here. Bowling Green and Central Michigan led their divisions going into the final week of the season, and they blew it. Unlike those two teams, Western Michigan and Ohio won when they needed to. The Bobcats are 9-3 and the slight favorites going into this game. Ohio won the MAC championship back in Season 1 against, ironically, Western Michigan. So we've got a Season 1 rematch of the MAC championship game. Ohio is led by their defense. They've got one of the best pass rushes in the entire country, 3 guys with at least 7 sacks. So Western Michigan quarterback Ayapati Kolaris is going to have a pretty tough game because he's going to be under a lot of pressure throughout most of it. I don't think it's likely either of these teams have any case for the playoff, but it still should be a pretty fun game nonetheless. These are two very unique and interesting teams. And again, I do want to show this game some love before we wrap up today's episode. So we'll see if Ohio can be the only team in this series to have won multiple conference championships. Of course, Central Michigan won it in Season 2. Bowling Green won it last year. 3rd and 3. Kolaris connects with Gray Ikiti, the tight end, in for a score. So the Broncos are on the board first. Broncos country, let's ride. Ohio would respond, however, as Tom Jerry is in for the score, knotting it up at 7. Into the second quarter now. Can Ohio take their first lead of the game? Seth Frankenfield connects with Anthony Alfred for the score, making it 14-7. Frankenfield is off to a great start at quarterback for Ohio as he keeps it on the read option. Frankenfield is a dual threat. He can make plays with his arm. As you can see, he can make plays with his legs, breaking tackles for a big gain of around 18. And now in the red zone, he's going to keep it himself. And Seth Frankenfield is in for the touchdown. And the Ohio Bobcats lead it 21-7. Western Michigan's got it back, looking to put themselves back on the board as Gerard Dukes breaks through tackles, and he is in for a touchdown of his own, making it 21-14. Ohio will look to score late here in the first half by adding a field goal. It's been a pretty competitive game so far, but the Bobcats do have the edge. They've scored 24 of the last 31 points, but Western Michigan can score it before the end of the half. Kolaris with a dime downfield. What a throw for Marcus Smith. And that'll bring Western Michigan into field goal range. A great drive to end the first half for the Broncos, who now only trail by one score. 24-17 at the half. Can Ohio hold on to their lead, or can Western Michigan pull off a nice little comeback? Into the second half, Ohio marching down the field. Seth Frankenfield on the read option is in for his second rushing touchdown of the game, making it 31-17. Western Michigan looking to respond. Kolaris goes downfield, and it is intercepted. Grant Jones picks it off for the Bobcats. Ohio would get it back. First and goal. Bernard Graham in for the score off the short pass from Seth Frankenfield. Ohio's really starting to run up the score. Following possession, it's a screen for the starting running back, JoJo Jones, who is in for a score. Jones has missed pretty much the entire season, but he's back healthy today. He's been really good for Ohio. Seth Frankenfield adds another touchdown. Ohio breaks the 50 marker, but it looks like they're still not done. They lead by 21, but they want a little more added to the scoreboard. Here is Tom Jerry breaking tackles in for his second touchdown of the game, and Ohio wins it 59-31. The Bobcats with 35 points off of 5 touchdowns in just the second half alone. A statement to end the season for Ohio, who's now 10-3. I mean, I'll put them on the ballot for the playoff, but again, I think they have a slim chance of making it. If Bowling Green, who won 12 games last year, couldn't make it, then I don't really see the argument for Ohio at 10-3 getting in. But that's not to say the Bobcats didn't play well today, because they were phenomenal with 8 all-purpose touchdowns and 59 points, the most we have seen in a conference championship game through this entire series, and that's largely because of the performance of Seth Frankenfield, who was phenomenal. He had 6 all-purpose touchdowns, 3 in the air, 3 on the ground. JoJo Jones, still banged up, was phenomenal. He had 200 all-purpose yards and a touchdown. And then defensively, they were able to hold up. I expected a little bit more out of their defense, but it didn't really matter because their offense scored damn near 60 points. Not a whole lot that Iapati Kolaris could do. He played pretty well, all things considered, as did Gerard Duke, but ultimately it's not enough for Western Michigan, who falls to Ohio for a second time in the MAC championship in this series. So those are our conference champions. We have been able to punch 6 tickets into the college football playoff. Texas Tech in the American as the Group 5 representative, along with 5 Power 5 teams. Florida in the SEC. Washington in the Pac-12, Navy in an ACC thriller, Ohio State in the Big 10, and TCU in the Big 12. So we know those 6 teams will be in the playoff, but you guys are going to have to decide the other 6, and voting for that will be in the next episode. You guys will also help voting for the seeding for every team in the playoff, along with all the major awards, including the Heisman Trophy. I hope everybody enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.